Okay, so this little clip's going to look at how to write a ratio. It's also going to give us some definitions of what we need to know for the chapter of ratios. On this page we have the definition. So a ratio is a comparison of two or more amounts of the same type using the column symbol. Unit ratios makes the comparison more meaningful by making the ratio out of 1. Equivalent ratio is two ratios have the same value when simplified. Then they are called equivalent ratios. They can be obtained by multiplying or dividing both sides by the same non-zero number. Finally, scale factor is another number that, in comparison to 1 in a unit ratio, this means that what we multiply the ratio by. E.g., if we have the ratio of 1.5 to 1, the scale factor is 1.5. On this page we have definitions rate, a way of comparing two quantities that use different units. We also have a part-part ratio, compares two separate parts of a whole. A part-whole ratio compares a part or parts to a whole. Simplest form, smallest ratio can be with whole numbers. To achieve, divide each number in the ratio by the highest common factor. Just a reminder, a factor is a number that divides evenly into another. So for instance, 4 is a factor of 8 because it goes into 8 two times. Okay, this is our first example. So for this question, a box of chocolates has 7 plain, 5 nut and 3 soft setting chocolates. That goes for the next few questions throughout. So this question is asking, write a ratio that compares the number of nut chocolates to the number of plain chocolates in simplest form. What I suggest that we do first is to actually write out what the question is asking in words. So it's asking us to compare nut chocolates ratio to plain chocolates. This just makes it a bit easier for us to follow. So from the information above, it tells us that we have 5 nut chocolates and that we have 7 plain chocolates. As they are both prime numbers, we can't simplify them any further, so that's the end of that question. So this question is asking, write a ratio that compares the number of soft-scented chocolates to the total number in the box in simplest form. So obviously we've got the information above, so we'll have a quick look at, we'll just put soft for soft-scented, and then we'll have total for everything else. So obviously for soft we've got 3 chocolates there, and for the total we're going to have to add everything up. So I've got 7 plus 5, that gives me 12. 12 plus 3 gives me 15. 3 is a prime number, but 15 isn't, so I'm going to just see if 3 goes into 15. In this instance it does, 5 times. So if I do 3 divided by 3, I get 1. And if I do 15 divided by 3, I get 5. So I've simplified this to 1 to 5 now. So this question here, write a number of soft-scented chocolates as a percentage of the total number in a box. This is a continuation of the previous one. So if we remember our ratio, answer from the last one was 1 to 5. To get a percentage, obviously I need to times by 100. So this now will turn into a fraction, which gives me 1 over 5 times by 100, obviously to get a percentage. 1 over 5 as a decimal is 0.2. So if I do 0.2, obviously if I've got a decimal here, I can actually just move the decimal point along 2 places. So if I move that along 2 spots, obviously this little arch here, I'm going to have to put a 0 in, and my decimal point would end up there now. So that's actually, after I've moved along 2 spots, and I ignore the other point, that's going to give me an answer of 20% is what that answer would be. Okay, so this is the last question or example that I'm going to give you guys for the writing ratios information. So this question is asking, writing a number of soft-scented chocolates as a fraction of the number of plain. So obviously, again, we can write this out in words. I would have soft and because it asks us to do a fraction out of plane, so it's actually not a ratio that we're specifically writing. And obviously if I read the information from above, I have 3 soft and 7 plane. As both of them are prime numbers, I can't simplify it any further. So that's the end of this one, writing ratios.